Welcome to Drinking on the Edge. Joining me today for this remote episode. We do them occasionally where I'm not in the Rhinecliff studio of Radio Free Rhinecliff with my producer, Matt. But today I am speaking with Matteo Ascheri. Do I have that pronounced correctly, sir?
Perfect. Grazie.
Hey.
Thank you very much. Yeah, great.
And for those of you with a sensitive ear, you can probably already pick up that Matteo is Italian. He's joining us from his home region in Piemonte, where he oversees his family's vineyards and winery with the family name Ascheri. And that is centered in the area known for the wine called Barolo. Matteo is doing double duty with us today because he's also the president, I believe it is, of the association that looks after the interests of the wines, not only in his home center of Barolo, but also that of neighboring Barbaresco, another famous name of Italian red wines. He is with the Consortium di Tutela Barolo, Barbaresco, Alba, Langhe e Dogliani.
Wow. Perfect, David. Bravo.
I don't speak Italian or understand it terribly well, but I do pay attention to the pronunciations, and thank you for the compliment. So what we're going to be focusing on today is, yes, Matteo's wines, but also more importantly, the overall landscape, the conceptual landscape that is the justifiably famous areas in which the Nebbiolo grape, which fashions 100% of what these wines are constituted of. And we're going to talk a little bit to hear his expertise and his background, what he's doing today. Perhaps he'll be so kind as to share a little bit of the history and the technical aspects of this deservedly famous grape that very uniquely has not found, shall we say, as happy a home outside of its borders as other, shall we say, more famous grapes from France and Spain. You know, we hear about Cabernet Sauvignon and Chardonnay all over the world. But, though I've been privileged to taste some Nebbiolos from other places, nothing has really caught fire. And we'll talk about that today as well. So, Matteo, thank you for hearing me out. Thank you for joining Drinking on the Edge for this dedicated episode on Barolo and Barbaresco. You're going to be here pretty soon. You're going to be joining me here across the Atlantic. Why is that?
Yeah, we have a great event of promotion of our denomination, Barolo and Barbaresco, basically, 19 and 20 of March. It's called the event Barolo and Barbaresco World Opening. It's the official presentation of the new vintages, 2020 for Barolo and 2021 for Barbaresco. It will be on the 5th Avenue on the Center 415, where 180 producers in person will attend the event, presenting their own wines.
Wow. Yes. That's quite an endeavor. So many people coming across to show their wines. Congratulations and thank you for in advance for gracing us with that. And just a quick note to those in the who are in or will be in the New York metropolitan area, New York City metropolitan area, and that is an event that is open to the public in the evening. There is a portion of the proceeds are going to benefit Food for Soul, a nonprofit founded by a couple of famous chefs. That's going to help local communities for that as well. So their rather high ticket price is somewhat justified in this regard. It's got some of it's going to charity. Thank you for that. And it's going to be an absolutely wonderful time with amazing food from Italy, another famous name associated with wonderful Italian products. So can you please tell us why Nebbiolo? What is this grape?
Yeah, the grape is the most important issue, but not only. Let's say that we are a little bit lucky in Piemonte because we are dealing with this grape. But basically, the reason why Piemonte wines are so important is basically there are three. Number one, that we produce wines using local grapes. Nebbiolo, Barbera, Dolcetto, that are other red varietals. Then we have many others, but also for the white varietals, Cortese, Arnese. These are local grapes. Nebbiolo is the most important red, but all these are local. Second, we are extremely lucky because these grapes, they don't produce great wines in other parts of the world. We can divide grapes according to their origin and their characteristics, but also by the fact that we have varietals They produce really great wines in different parts of the world. They're the so-called international grapes: Cabernet, Merlot, Chardonnay, Sauvignon. On the other hand, we have other varietals that produce great wines, but only in specific areas. So they need special characteristic of soil and microclimate. And our varietals are part of this second category. So the result is that they are local, native in Piemonte, and they're just developed over there. It's almost impossible to find good expression of this varietal outside of Piemonte. Third important technical issue, monovarietal. We don't blend grapes. All the wine that we produce are made with 100% of one varietal. So Barolo and Barbaresco, 100% of Nebbiolo. These are three technical issues. Then there is another important aspect, more cultural, economical, social, but important at the same level: family business, small wineries. We're talking about different expression, different backgrounds. So really a huge different interpretation of the same place in the same area.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably, I don't know, but maybe you could tell us, what do you reckon is the largest, landholder for grapevines in Barolo or Barbaresco? It must be less than 100 hectares, I would think.
Yeah, exactly. There are only few expression of this size, and most of the expression are small wineries that are run by families since different generations. Mine, for instance, is the sixth generation of my winery personally. So this means that exactly you have different interpretation of the in the same area. This could make things more difficult to understand, a little bit more confusing, but at the end much more interesting, because we have different interpretation. Because wine at the end is an interpretation of a place where the vineyard is and of a grape planted over there.
Just to keep it simple, why do you reckon that Nebbiolo hasn't spread in different parts of Italy or even across the border in its neighbor of southeastern France? I mean, you can find Sangiovese in different parts of central Italy performing quite well in different capacities. You can find reasonably good expressions in the New World. Sure, in California, of course, too. Why is it that Nebbiolo hasn't perhaps gotten so strong outside of Piemonte? Maybe there's a good example, Lombardia, I agree. But beyond this, why has Nebbiolo not spread further?
We don't know exactly. It's part of the characteristic of the grape. They need really a good kind of soil, because the Nebbiolo is quite vigorous, it's growing quite a lot. But also the weather condition. The weather condition are very important. The name Nebbiolo come from nebbia, fog. So this means that we are harvesting the Nebbiolo very late, in end of October, when nights are very cold and days are very warm, and this is something that we need a lot. So the excursion in temperature from day and night, this is part of the characteristics. But yeah, we don't know exactly why, but it's part of the genetic. But we are extremely happy about this result because we are not spreading with other people these great results. And then there is in the same, characteristic, because Nebbiolo is producing wines that are powerful and elegant at the same time. And to achieve these two results are very difficult, Or normally you have powerful wine, not so elegant, or you have elegant character, but not really concentrated wine. On Nebbiolo, you can have both. But to achieve this exactly, you need special conditions of soil and microclimate.
So perhaps for someone who's accustomed to gentle wines of different types, Nebbiolo in any of its expressions might be a bit challenging, maybe not be where their orientation is going to lie. That's okay. There's room for everybody, but there's very limited amounts of quality Nebbiolo, and you're the center of that. So can you perhaps speak a little bit more definitively the flavor or the organoleptic, the smell, the taste characteristics of what can constitute, in a general term, a good Nebbiolo-based wine?
Yeah, Nebbiolo, first of all, starting from the color, is producing wine with very light color. Is simple is the characteristic of the skin. The skin is very thick, but it delivers really very light color, what we call garnet red, both like tone and intensity. So don't expect huge dark color, black color from a Nebbiolo wine, but the color is much more delicate, garnet red, very light color. Then the most important thing is the bouquet. Nebbiolo has really great characteristics. We start with floral aspects like rose and violets. Then we go through spiciness, but sweet spicy, licorice, cinnamon, tobacco, cloves, rhubarb. Then with age, you can have mushroom, truffle, leathery, dry fruit, dry flower characteristics. So something that is very specific, very nice to understand, maybe not so usual, not so easy to find in different wines. Then in the mouth, it's not a fat or round wine. The producer, like me, is fat and round, but the wine is quite austere. It means that good tannic structure, good acidity. So it's a wine that is a great complement with food. Great red meat dishes, like beef, veal, wild boar, and others, but also a good, nice matches with mature cheeses. I always suggest this because it's very easy and simple. You don't have to cook a dish all day to have a glass of Barolo, but you just grab a piece of cheese like Parmigiano, Reggiano, Grana Padano. In Piemonte, you have Castelmagno, or if you have to go to France, Comté or Cheddar, this kind of cheeses, and then you have a great expression together with the wine.
Interesting. So, as people often, the way you're describing, Matteo, people often refer to as, they buy wines typically very much in the United States and many other places. They'll buy a wine and they think, oh, I should age this wine. But in reality, 95% of the time or more, they drink the wine when it's a young vintage wine. What is the capacity of Nebbiolo and its various expressions to age? Should it be drunk young, or should it be aged, or can you enjoy it in different time periods? And if so, how is it going to vary from young to medium to old?
Yeah, this is a good question. Nebbiolo is a wine that has a good evolution. First of all, has a minimum age in the winery of 4 years, Barolo, Barbaresco 3. So this is why we are presenting 2020 vintage this year.
And excuse me, this is a legally defined
yes, exactly.
requirement.
Requirement, yeah. We're talking the Barolo 2000, producing the vintage 2020 is on sale on the market from 1st January 2024. So always after 4 years. Then after this, the wine can evolve for 20, 25 years. So it's a wine that has a long, long evolution. This fact could have created some problem in the past when talking about the old Barolo produced with the old method, when it was never the right time to drink a Barolo. It was always very early, or suddenly it was too late. So you have just to pick the right week in 20 years to drink a good glass of Barolo. This was a great problem, and is everything changed in the last 20 years with the change of vinification method and approach, and the result is that is a general philosophy, by the way, because a great wine is to be great ever. Remember this. So if you are tasting a Barolo when he's young, the wine has to deliver you great sensations. Also, if it will be better, of course, in 7, 8 years at the peak. But also, if you like to drink the wine of a recent vintage, the wine has to be able to give you great sensation. And everything is linked to one concept, because a great wine is a balanced wine. So we have to produce wines that are balanced. The balance is among the tannic structure, the acidity, the fruit content, the alcohol content. So this is the most important thing. So a wine will develop as an organic product in years. For the Barolo, is a long evolution. So you have really great sensation during this period. But also, if you like to drink this wine young, wine is delivering really great things.
So to kind of sum up a little bit what you said, a great wine should be balanced throughout its lifespan when it's immediately released to the general public, and till the time when, let's say, when it's become a corpse, but before that point, But let's say when any wine is young, it's going to be a lot more vibrant and dynamic and intense than, let's say, during its maturing phases, when its exuberance fades off and becomes a bit more subtle and complex, perhaps. Of course, as with a human life, there are times that it just needs to be moving along, and then looking for newer vintages and newer ideas.
Yeah, always I explain to customers coming to visit the winery regarding these kind of things. I say, yeah, it's not that older is the wine, better is. We have always an evolution. Wines are growing, staying at the top, and then they're going down. So if you taste a Barolo 40 years, maybe it's still a great wine, but was much better to be drunk this wine 20 years earlier. So that is the fact, yeah. And then it all depends how the bottle has been stored and all these kind of things.
I can speak from experience, having been enjoyed a couple of visits in my career to Piemonte, that there are wines that are in the land in question that never make it here because the wines are sold in the country alone. The wineries have not made importers over here, so um, if you want to experience the full complexity of what these wines are, like anywhere else, you have to go to where they're made and meet the producers such as Matteo and understand the context of everything around it. So if somebody is coming to visit, who's not a wine professional, perhaps, who just loves wine and loves, visiting wine producing areas, what are the unique characteristics of your area that maybe distinguish it from other places in Italy, which Italy is an extremely popular destination for tourism. So what makes your area of Piemonte very specifically unique from other wine tourism destinations in Italy?
Yeah, this I have a definition for Italy, for my country. Italy is famous for places like Rome, Florence, Venice, and all these kind of things. But I used to say that Italy is a continuous discovery. Also, almost unknown places are giving you great sensation, great small villages, historical centers, great landscape, great food. So talking about Piemonte, tourism in Piemonte is based on wine and food. So if you're coming to visit us, you will find fantastic landscape, small villages like Barolo, Serralunga, Monforte, La Mora. These are the center of the production of the Barolo. Fantastic landscape, fantastic vineyards. And what make a huge difference, due to the fact that our wineries are family business. If you're going to visit a winery, there's a high probability that you're going to meet directly there part of the family or the wine producer or part of the family that is producing wine or the winemaker. So it's a personal approach. This makes a huge difference. If you're going in other part of the world, you can maybe find fantastic wineries, but you will never have the occasion to meet the wine producer or is in charge of the production of the wine. Here in Piemonte is different. We are farmers, basically. So coming to visit us, you have a good chance to find really the right and the real persons behind the wine. And this make a huge, huge difference at the end.
Is there a time of year where there's a specific wine festival that people should target to come visit to understand?
Yeah, let's say the second part of the springtime, April, May, June. During the fall, with the harvest time, there is also the truffle period, the white truffle area. So it's fantastic, September, October, November. But let's say all through the year, you can find different expressions. Maybe also in the first part of the year, January, February, is not fantastic for the weather conditions, but there is much less people around. So it's a better sensation, more relaxed wineries, more relaxed people. So it could be a good expression also in this month when there are not too many people visiting the area.
I can appreciate that. And the topography, if people can obviously go online and look at photos and images and videos, but is there a distinguishing part of your topography, your landscape, that is maybe
Yeah.
kind of unique, please?
Yeah, there are rolling hills, good, fantastic hills. Piemonte, first of all, the name Piemonte is the region. We're talking about, northwest of Italy. Piemonte means at the footstep of the mountains. We are surrounded by the mountains. There are the Alps in the northern part, in the border with Switzerland, also in the western border with France, the Apennines in the southern border with Liguria, and most of the other part of the region is we're talking about hills. The production of the grape, so vineyards are only in hillsides. So the landscape is fantastic because you can see from some pictures and other expressions, but is really great. It's changing every moment that you're moving by car around. You can find really great opportunity to find fantastic landscape. And of course, according to the different period of the year, you can find different colors. Springtime, much more, the green part. During the fall, the different colors, the foliage of the different vineyards.
Yeah, they're more autumnal tones. Well,
Yeah.
In recognition of the impending world opening of Barolo and Barbaresco on
Yeah.
March 20th, that we let off with here, Matteo and I are going to be tasting a couple of wines, one of which, of course, is his. And because he doesn't, and that's a Barolo, of course, but in as much as he doesn't work in the Barbaresco area, a colleague of his will also be visiting us here on the 20th, has kindly provided both he and I a bottle of theirs. It's from the Rizzi family. And Matteo has given me as well
Yeah,
a
here we are.
bottle.
Yeah.
Yes, we have that, and we have this. So,
And
Matteo,
then,
we're going to taste these now. Would you tell
yeah.
me what you'd like? Shall I pour first for myself?
First, Barbaresco, of course.
Okay.
Barbaresco is, both are made with 100% of Nebbiolo, but Barbaresco, of course, is much more elegant, much more refined. Specifically, Rizzi is another family business. And, the producer is coming from a place, a municipality called Treviso. And Barbaresco is always producing very elegant, refined, very floral style of Nebbiolo wines. So it's a good, and the vintage that we are tasting now is 2020, is a very elegant vintage. We are not producing the same style of wine every year. Every year is a different situation for us. Vineyards are always the same. We, as wine producer, have our own interpretation, but what changed are the weather conditions. We can say that 2020 was quite of a warm year, something that we are experiencing more and more in the last period. Warm year for Nebbiolo means softer style of wine, where the tannins are already very soft and very evolved, very elegant. The acidity is not so high, and the fruit content is very concentrated. So wines that are very approachable since the early stages. So in a certain way, is a good expression for customers that would like to, or consumer that would like to approach this varietal. It is not easy at all. We described before the characteristics. And normally we can say that being a wine connoisseur, you cannot start with Nebbiolo. Nebbiolo is always at the end of an evolution. You start with simpler thing, delivering more clear aspect on wines, and then little by little, when you demand a little bit more complexity, a little bit more of a interesting and stylish wine, is the time of Nebbiolo. Yeah, definitely.
Very good. Yeah, so the issue that you're describing, Matteo, is something that's not uncommon in different parts of the world. That the impact of climate change is affecting, of course, what's happening in the vineyard, and it's very clear because people pay so much attention to the complexity of wine's expressions that we see these changes more clearly in the resulting production and taste of a wine by comparison to, say, wheat that makes bread. We can't taste the difference so clearly. So on that note, would you be tasting this Rizzi Barbaresco with me now?
Fantastic. Of course, I will open the bottle. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I agree with you. The garnet red color is most certainly there. It's not a dense and opaque coloration or hue. It's I wouldn't call it transparent by any means, but it definitely has
transparent. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, translucent. Yeah, exactly.
Translucent,
Not
there you go.
really. Yeah, exactly. And is one of the aspects that can really give you a good expression of the Nebbiolo. When you find this kind of color, you know that you're talking about a Nebbiolo wine. So don't expect black color, dense color, and all this kind of thing. But exactly, this is the kind of.
And as you said, it's delicately perfumed, very should we say tantalizing on the nose. It's not dramatic. It is expressing some elegance, no question.
Yeah, the elegance is the most important thing. To put together elegance and power is something that is very difficult. We have character here. You can feel the floral aspect. That is rose, violet, the sweet spicy, that is really very present.
And to continue on the taste, the wine is not, it's not a rich, concentrated, big mid palate lush sort of wine that many Americans are accustomed to enjoying because that's much of what we produce, and we do a very good job of it in most cases.
Yeah.
But it's not something the American palate would I would say so easily adjust to. Of course, unless you have been exposed to wines similarly structured of this. But Nebbiolo is unique, to be sure, Matteo, in that it is a wine that is dramatically a firm, strong feeling red wine, but it doesn't have that denseness in the mid palate that you would expect sometimes. So it's a little curious for people who may not be accustomed to this structure of wine and this particular grape Nebbiolo.
Yeah, what we have to understand is that normally American wines that are great wines, and American people are also intending to taste the wine without food. So you need this specific character because you need the body, you need structure, you need something that is really filling your mouth, since these kind of things. Sorry, I have also my phone going on, but okay, somebody will answer. While these wines are made to drink with food, no way.
Well,
And it's something that you are really drinking more and more because after the first sip you will drink more and more. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The wine, and this has a very lovely finish too. The wine is still, it's just faded now after my taste about 90 seconds ago. The wine is just beginning to fade off my palate. I'll look forward to coming back to it, but let's now pour a taste of your, please.
And also the aftertaste.
Mm-hmm.
The aftertaste that you have when you swallow the wine is very, very long.
Yeah, indeed.
The tannic structure that you have inside of Nebbiolo has a specific function, is to clear your mouth after an important rich dish of meat, because it's clearing completely the mouth and prepare the mouth to the next taste. So that is the function, something very stylish. Exactly. You can appreciate these wines without food when they're very, very old. Normally, after 10, 12, 15 years. But when they're young, exactly, the food pairing is the most important aspect.
Yeah, from experience, I can confirm that the wines, the good Barolos and Barbarescos, after 10, 15 years, they change very dramatically, and they become almost, to my inexperienced palate, unrecognizable in many respects compared to when they were very young. But that's just my perception. I'm sure because this is you have a more incisive view on that.
To be an expert, you have to drink wines to find the best wines for your palate, for your taste, and all this kind of thing. What is interesting is to have a different opportunity. The only risk that I feel in the modern wine industry is that when you drink a wine without seeing the label, more and more it's difficult to understand from which continent this wine comes from, because most of the wines are made with the same varietals, the same know-how, the same technology, the same consultants. So exactly, if you taste in a blind way, it could be an Australian wine, a Californian wine, a Sicilian wine, and so on. Wine, on my point of view, apart quality, the most important issue, because quality is necessary in our business, of course, but it's not enough. The most important thing is to be recognizable. So when you taste a wine, you have to understand basically few things, but these are important. First of all, where this wine come from. The wine has to deliver specific characteristic of a place. And for the Nebbiolo, it's easy to detect since the beginning, since from the color. Second, the wine has to clearly be an expression of a varietal. And Nebbiolo is a specific great wine, a great varietal. And the use of the monovarietal philosophy is specific for this. To produce a great wine using only one grape is much more complicated on the technical issue, but give you more chances to be recognizable because you are unique. The characteristics are unique. And third thing that you have to understand is what is the style of the producer. The producer has to make an interpretation of the vineyard and of the varietal. And it's a personal interpretation. It's the most important thing. Something that also in Piemonte we can grant, having family business.
Thank you for that. Let's further this here now that I will move on to your Barolo.
Yeah.
2019. I'm going to pour a
Perfect.
small
Yeah,
taste. I'm sure
yeah,
you don't need to taste along with me, but if you don't want, you know the wine.
No, no, I
intimately.
already I have here. It's a pleasure, it's a pleasure. A lot of a little bit less conversation, a little more action.
So, so Matteo is allowing me
Yeah.
to have a look at the difference of the appearance of
Yeah.
his wine compared to the other wine. Maybe that's not a fair assessment, but when I look through a wine, I don't hold it up to a light. I look through a white cloth, if I could. That's what way I judge the appearance. And I'm doing a quick comparison between yours and the Barbaresco. It's not a huge color variation. I think yours is
No, exactly.
perhaps is a bit more darkish red and less purplish red, but they're still rather transparent. I mean, yours, of course, is a year older as well, which can account for that.
Yeah, he's 19, and 19 was
Yeah.
a more classical vintage. I
Like,
received it. Yeah, vintage is. Yeah, we can consider the last traditional vintage in our area. Traditional means with harvests that are going until the end of October. So quite a long specific period of maturation. So it's important for the Nebbiolo, the maturation level, but even more important, how we reach this level of maturation. More the bunches stay on the vines, better is. Here, definitely you can feel you have more powerful character and higher acidity, different grapes in the tannins, a little bit more multi-layered wine that give you much more sensation in the mouth, more rich in body and structure, because we are at the beginning and we're talking about Barolo and we're talking about a more traditional vintage.
So two strikingly different examples of wines that would otherwise can be seen as rather similar. I would agree.
And there are only two. Yeah, of course. If you taste,
I would agree. Well, the opportunity to taste these wines again will be available to those who attend the world's opening of these the new vintage showing, shall we say. We'll taste the subsequent vintage, just the ones we tasted here today.
Yeah, of course.
We'll be tasting 20 and 21 rather than 19 and 20 of these two legendary areas. And you'll be able to do so in the context of the Italy location and all the wonderful foods. And you've been hearing Matteo espouse upon the enjoyment of the foods and how that brings out different characteristics and enjoyment in the wine. And I'll be doing so myself tonight. So do show up, if you could please, at the world opening, Barolo and Barbaresco, March 20th in Manhattan. That's Center 415, excuse me. And you'll be able to taste from over 180 producers who'll be there in person, and you can have an evenings. At least your mind can be in Piemonte, even if your feet are going to be in Manhattan. I know for myself, Matteo, I'm going to be enjoying these wines tonight with a ribeye steak. I'll be pan searing with some winter root vegetables, and I know that should be a pretty nice pairing. But they won't be only enjoyed tonight. I like to see how wines evolve once they've been opened.
Right.
So these wines will be enjoyed over the next few days as well. I look forward to our meeting in a 10 days time or so. And yes, thank you for that. And your eloquence, your intelligence, and your wines are very, very expressive. Thank you for sharing your time here at Drinking on the Edge.
Thank you very much for all these opportunities. It will be really a pleasure for this occasion to explain something regarding myself, but also the area that is most important, and the wines. And of course, we look forward to see you and all the people who like to join us on the 20th March on the Fifth Avenue in Manhattan.
Thank you. Thanks for coming to Drinking on the Edge. Bye, Matteo.
Salute.
Salute.
Salute.